Okay. Happy Thursday, October the 23rd. So, I'm sorry about last night. I was supposed to do part three. My fur baby had an upset stomach. If you know, you know. So, today I'm going to give you a bonus. I'm going to give you part three, four, and five. I also want to say that I do these videos before work and after work because I work a full-time job, okay? So please bear with me and be patient, but I won't have you waiting days. Okay, so we're going to call this part three, and it's called Moving Up on the East Side. Part four is going to go back because I have to talk about my dad, but we're going to talk about moving up on the East Side. So this is the second church in East Baltimore. I don't know if they ever used this door, but that's the door that was right into the sanctuary right there. I mean, as soon as you open the door, you right in the sanctuary, and everybody just, as soon as you come in the door, so as we was in the storefront church, it's the first church I showed you. More members started to come. In that church, we were basically sitting in folding chairs. It was really tiny. It was a tiny church. We had a small kitchenette in the background. In the back, and another room with one bathroom, and it had like a couch back there. So when we moved to this church, we felt like we had made it. So the pulpit was up here. All that right there is the sanctuary. This up here had a kitchen and a dining area. I keep forgetting what was on that third floor. Remember, this is over 30 years ago. So we moved to here. We thought we had made it. We went from folding chairs to pews. We had a little part on the side that had a choir stand. He had his own office with a door. Very important for you guys to remember that. We had a place where we can eat and fellowship, and we had two bathrooms. So we went from one bathroom to two bathrooms. We thought we had made it. So little did we know, we was in the belly of the beast. And I don't know if I did a disclaimer, which I may do more and more about my parents. I never wanted to do this story when my parents were alive. Not that I thought they would be gone by now, because this would break them, right? This time in our life was a huge heartbreak for my mom, and it was a huge trigger, okay? And I would never tell this story while she was alive because it would have broken her, okay? Because she felt like she failed us as a parent, and she never did. She was just searching for love. She was just searching for a family that would love her unconditionally. My mom had a lot of trauma. Okay, so we moved into this church, thought we had made it. So then he started elevating people to offices. This is where we got our deacons, our deaconess, the missionary board. We were dressing better because we can wear pants. We didn't have to wear skirts all the time. I don't know if we could wear pants to church. No, we couldn't. We couldn't wear pants to church. We could wear makeup, earrings. We can get our hair done and everything else. Like, we didn't have to do the regular, and I think we can get our hair cut at that time. So this is just wild that we was letting somebody tell us what to do like that. But anyway, so when we moved in here, that's when he started elevating people to offices. He was plotting. Ananias. We had our little choir, and the Pied Piper played the organ. Could not play. Swore he was a musician, and he was not. I also want to say that Ananias' sister reached out to me, and I'm gonna do a whole story time on her. She was my saving grace, and she gave me the go ahead for this. She was my saving grace, and she is a powerhouse. She's a minister right now. Is she a pastor? She should. I think she is. She was my saving grace as well. Okay, love me down, love me and my children down. Took me under her wing. Okay, so anyway, when we got in this church, I was in high school. And we started getting more members. More people from the police department started to come and work with him, who were genuine people. He wasn't, they were. And so when he started elevating people to offices, then we started having our business meetings again, and he introduced tithes, and it was another offering. So the way he presented it was, he taught us about tithes, and of course everybody had a hard time with it because we weren't used to paying it. Martha didn't require tithes. We had business meetings, and we would discuss what bills bills were due, and we would just give to pay it because, come on, we got to be realistic. Whether I was in a cult or not, it takes money to run a building. So He introduced tithes and how he presented it, and this is how he elevated families to a certain status. The more money you got, the more money you gave, the higher status you was out at. And I would like to say that my family wasn't always, we never made it to the top status because my parents had 7 kids. By the time we moved in here, it was 7 of us. Was it? It was 6. Okay. I'm going to tell you how I remember, because I remember my mother standing up in testimony service. I'm going to talk about that in a second, saying that the Lord had blessed her womb again. And me and my siblings were sitting there like, you got to be kidding. We all always sat on me and my siblings on the same road because we were labeled the problem children because there were so many of us, the Carter gang. So we used to have testimony service at the old church, which would make church go on forever. This church was the same. We stayed here all day too, 2 services. So when we would do testimony service, that was his way of building his master plan for each member. Because testimony service, if you don't know what it is, you're either talking about your good, your bad, what you've been through, what God brought you through. Basically, you're telling all your business, okay? But you feel like you're in a safe space. You're being vulnerable. You're opening up. He used this as an opportunity to create his master plan of deception for each person in there and how he was going to get under them. So then he introduced us coming to his office and talking to him, where, you know, a lot of people, you may hear people having marriage counseling, people needing counseling for past traumas. I just want to say, because I'm getting ready to mention the faith, I'm not talking about everyone under this faith. I'm talking about my experience in the cult I was in under this faith. I'm talking about my experience with a specific pastor. I am not talking about every pastor. I am not talking about every church. And I'm not talking about everyone that's under this particular faith. And this is the last time I'm going to say that. So I'm saying, and I hope I'm not coming off too harsh, but I used to have to over explain myself because I was in a cult for so long. Okay, so he introduced us going to his office. No. Let's go back to when he introduced tithes. He also introduced that we were changing faiths. So before, we were Christian church. We was non-denominational. Anybody could worship. When we moved here, we became apostolic church. And he taught us about apostolic and everything else, and that's how the earrings, and like I said, we felt like we had moved up to the east side because we could dress now, we can look good, okay? I also want to say within this church, everything stayed within the circle. You had a baby, your godparents went to this church because they had to be holy and covered, because every child that was born had some type of calling on their life, and you had to have these specific godparents so they can watch this child grow up, right? And also, with that being said, when you picked your godparents, you had to go to him first and let him know which godparents that you wanted, and which I found out later. Okay, let's say I wanted to pick Tom and Jane to be my godparents, and I would go to him. And I may have said something to them first, and the way he had us trained was we had to go to him first. But sometimes we would go to the godparents first and say it, and they'd be like, oh, no, you got to go to Ananias first. Go to him, he'll say yes or no, or he'll act like he said yes, and then go behind our back and tell them to say no, because I've experienced this, and they would say no, and we couldn't figure out why. So a couple of the godparents in there were actually very good godparents, and are still godparents to this day, okay? Absolutely great godparents. I'm getting ready to run out of time, so y'all gonna get a part 4 this morning. So once we finished the testimony service, then he started introducing people coming to him to discuss what they was going through, right? So, and the office door was always closed for privacy. Little did we know what was going on in there. This is when he started collecting his concubines. And if you don't know what a concubine is, I'm going to get the correct definition, but I'm going to give you layman's term. It's basically a man that has a wife, but he also has many women. And it's not his wife. The concubines are under his wife, if I'm not mistaken. And his wife will always be number one, but she knows that he is sleeping with and having relationships with these other women. And she can't say anything because everybody knew she was in the number one spot. right? Okay.